So, low-key, I have no idea who won the football game tonight. That's because I fell asleep on the couch after halftime. I was awake and then I fell asleep after halftime. So, I'll probably ask one of my friends tomorrow. Anyways, I read in 2 Kings chapter 20 today. There were a few verses that stuck out to me. The first one was verses 2 and 3, which says, Then Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. Please, Lord, remember how I have walked before you faithfully and wholeheartedly and have done what pleases you. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. What I wrote down is that Hezekiah was very heartbroken. And then the next verses that stuck out to me were 5 and 6, which is the Lord talking to Hezekiah, or to Isaiah. And it says, Go back and tell Hezekiah, the leader of my people, this is what the Lord God of your ancestor David says. I have heard your prayer, I have seen your tears. Look, I will heal you. On the 3rd day from now you will go up to the Lord's temple. I will add 15 years to your life. I will rescue you and the city from the grasp of the king of Assyria. I will defend the city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David. So what stuck out to me is that when we have faith, God will rescue us if it's according to his plan. Today's day 39. The title is False Goliaths. The key verse is John 7:24, which says, Stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. What I wrote down is that we can't ever be a good judge because we can't see the heart / everything that God can. We're human. And we're not God. In the lesson, it says that sometimes it is those closest to us that can seem to hurt us the most. What I wrote down is that this is because we're human. And it also says in the lesson, he doesn't bless your need nor someone else's need to be right and prove someone wrong. That would just be silly and fruitless. Next, it said in the lesson, don't let something that seems big cause you to forget who you are, whose you are, and the spiritual DNA you possess. We are his children, guys. There's nothing that can make us not his children, except us not believing and having faith in him. And lastly, in the lesson, talks about how we must also remember that God has already overcome every obstacle we could face. What stuck out to me is that there's nothing impossible for him. He will move the biggest mountains in your life, and we will face trials because that's a part of being a Christian. Good night, guys.